Razorback Nation set in Bo. Everyone's thoughts seem to be the same. He was one of the nicest and most professional guys around.
Probably the most. Paul was impeccable in every way, Neely, and nobody knew it better than those he worked with.
Well, I told people that when Jack Buck, who many in Arkansas remember as this great voice of the Cardinals, when he died, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch the next morning, the headline says, "A city loses its soul." I believe in Arkansas, we've lost a little bit of our soul.
He made things easier, you know, where it's tough doing a show when you lose, but when you lose, you know, the way we did at USC, he's so kind, and, you know, he was hurting like everybody else, but, you know, he still did his job and just such a class act.
He loves Arkansas. He loves Razorback sports. When you hear his voice, you turn and you look. You know that's Paul Eells. We're gonna miss him.
He certainly didn't consider himself a big deal. His humility was really unmatched.
You know, and I think that's what made him special. I mean, he was a very big deal, and you know, he's more popular than a lot of coaches or even players. You know, but he earned that.
I lost my wedding ring playing golf with him one day, and I've told this before, and we're down at Rebsman, and we looked for 15 or 20 minutes and couldn't find it, and the wind's blowing off the river, and it's late in the fall, and it's cold down there. And I went home and told my wife I'd lost my wedding ring, something she had made for me. And she said, well, let's go back down there and look. And we went back, 30, 45 minutes elapsed, and we went back down there, and Paul Eells was on his hands and knees. Anyway.
How do you describe a man like that? It's hard to imagine life without him, Neely.
A difficult time for everyone. Bo, thank you for that report.
Neely, we talked to a lot of people today, and it was just overwhelming. Everybody loves Paul Eells. That includes Governor Mike Huckabee. In fact, he had some pretty nice comments and said that Paul would be a lock to win any public office that he sought out.
Though he's not an elected official, quite frankly, I think that if Paul had ever been on the ballot, no one else would have even attempted to run. He was our sports laureate, if there is such a thing, and leaves a big void in the hearts and really in the daily schedules of a lot of Arkansans.
Especially for those who worked alongside Paul and knew him the best, like basketball play-by-play announcer Mike Nail.
Paul is one of those people that don't come along often enough. A very caring person, very true person. Paul loved his job. He had plenty of opportunity in the last several years to retire and take it easy, but he loved his job. And he had great affection for the people he worked with.
Which includes every coach at Arkansas for the last 28 years. Paul may have been the closest to Nolan Richardson, who spoke to us today on the phone from El Paso, Texas.
I've said many times that if we had 5 Pauls in controlling our country or our world, then there would be no wars, no anything, because the compassion that he gave to anyone, and anyone who ever passed across Paul can never say that he wasn't a true friend. That's the wonderful thing about people that sometimes they take from us, seems to be so early in their lives that they leave a huge void.
Coach Richardson also praised Paul for the day he testified in that race discrimination trial. If you remember, Paul actually seemed to take up for Nolan that day in the courtroom when it wasn't a real popular decision, even hugged Coach on the way out.
All right, Matt, thank you. It's important to remember that another family lost a loved one in last night's accident and remains in mourning. 40-year-old B.J. Burton was pronounced dead on the scene as well. She owned a popular restaurant in Dover called the Bayou Bridge Cafe for 5 years. Friends and family members of B.J.'s gathered at that cafe today. B.J. and her husband, Gary Burton, have coached 18 softball teams together in the last 12 years.
B.J. was the mom of the team. She loved every single one of us, knew every single thing about every one of us. She had the biggest heart of any woman I knew.
BJ sold the Bridge Cafe last month to spend more time with her family. Friends say her husband, Gary, and 3 children were her world. Her 31st birthday and her 25th wedding anniversary were both just a little over a week away. Funeral services for Paul Eells will be held in Little Rock Friday at 2 o'clock at the Robinson Auditorium. Those services are open to the public. The family has asked memorials be made to the Eells Memorial Scholarship Fund, the address you see on your screen.
KNWA.